your video instructions for the May 2020 Take and Make kit featuring the Beautiful Moments stamp set. Thank you so much for purchasing our kit. My name is Allison Sullivan and I'm in Canada, and along with my border buddy Patsy Wagner from the US, we're so excited for our new Take and Make kits in the mail. Your PDF tutorial includes the supply list, the measurements, and the directions for your 4 cards. Your kit also includes all the pre-cut paper, die cuts, embossed pieces, and embellishments for you to complete the 8 cards, 4 designs, 2 of each. We have also included envelopes, and I wanted to just show you them. The envelopes will have a sticker on them, a post-it note with the number of the card that it corresponds to. So when you open them up, you won't have to guess which cards your supplies in the envelopes are for. You'll know that this is for card 1, 2, 3, and 4, etc. The additional supplies like stamps, inks, and coloring tools can be purchased from Patsy in the US or from Allison in Canada through our online stores. The links to these stores is on our PDF. So let's get started with making some cards together. I'm going to go step by step, just like the PDF, so you can follow along. You can pause the video at any time if I get ahead of you. Let's get stamping. Before we start, I wanted to tell you a little bit about the products we're going to use. I've used a Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad. This is a dye-based pad, and you need this kind of pad to use with our Stampin' Blends. Our Stampin' Blends are an alcohol-based pen. We're also going to be using the Stitch So Sweetly dies. Now these will all have been pre-cut for you in your kit, so you don't have to cut these. But this is what the dies look like. So you can see here that we've got some rectangular shapes, quite a few. 2, 4, 6 of them, all different sizes. And the thing that's really cool about these is they cut this really nice scallop edge, but they also cut a stitch line, like in the first card that we're going to do today. So you can see here, this is already pre-cut for you, but really nice. And then it also has these really nice label dies, so different shapes. So there's 4 of those. So that's a really nice die set. We're also going to be using the High Seas 3D embossing folder, which creates like this wave image. And it's one of our 3D embossing folders, so it's quite thick. And I find the easiest way to use it is with the 3D embossing folder plate, which is number 149658 in the catalog. So here's our first card. It features the 2 little girls walking on the beach with their little buckets, their little beach buckets. This is the Beautiful Moments stamp set that we've used in our Take and Makes this month. And it's so pretty. I just love all these little line drawings. So what you're going to do first is open up your envelope, number 1, and you're going to have the supplies here to make your card. You're going to have your card base, and you're going to have your embossed layer. It's going to go on top. You're going to have your stamped, the piece that you're going to stamp on. This is from the Stitch So Sweetly dies that we talked about earlier. And then you're going to have this large crumb cake piece that's also been cut with the dies. I'm going to show you what to do that further along in the steps. So the very first thing you would do is emboss the Seaside Spray cardstock, but I've already done that for you, and Patsy's done it for her customers in the US. We're going to take this piece, this rectangular piece, and we're going to cut off with our trimmers. We're going to cut off a 3/8 inch or a 0.5 centimeter strip from each of the long sides. Okay, so we don't need the middle piece anymore. We're going to set that aside, and we're going to keep these 2 pieces. We're going to take our embossed piece. Now, if you're like me, you might accidentally put these upside down, like the waves. So I always have to check which way my waves are going. And there they are. Okay. I'm going to take my little strips and I'm going to use my favorite adhesive, which is the Tombow Mono Liquid Glue. And I like it. I'm going to bring it, sorry, I'm probably out of frame here. I'm going to bring it up like that. And I'm going to very carefully glue it across the middle of my piece here. Like that. And same with the other piece. This glue is really great because it does dry clear, so if you make a mistake, you're good. And you can move it around if you're not lined up or you don't like what you've got. So here we go. Okay, looks good. And then I'm just going to turn it over, and if I've got any loose ends here, I'm just going to trim those off. Okay, all right. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to take my linen thread, and excuse me for mine, it fell on the floor a long time ago and it kind of became this little knotted mess, but I'm sure yours will look better because you're going to get a piece of it, so you're not going to have to take it off the roll. And I'm just going to wrap this around 3 times. It never fails that when you're trying to do a video, this happens, but that's okay. I'm going to trim this off with my ribbon scissors. And I'm just going to tie that in a little bow. So there we are, all tied up. Now I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to add some dimensionals. So these are our Stampin' Dimensionals. They're double-sided foam pieces that just raise the card up and add a little bit of dimension. I'm going to put one in the middle on top of that. Now here's a trick. If you can't get these off, just use your thumbnail and push and you can remove those. All right, once you've got that done, you're going to just center that in the middle of your card front and set that aside. Next up, I've got my little piece of Whisper White here, and I'm going to ink up the girl's image with my Memento ink. Now for me, this kind of ink, I like to add it like this. So I like to turn my stamp so it's face up, and I like to add my ink. And the reason I do this is I can see if I'm missing any areas. So I get a nice crisp image. Okay, and I'm just going to stamp that on my piece. I'm also going to add the little birds to the top. This one I'm just going to ink up as usual. Go. And there we go. So let me set that aside and bring in our coloring tools. We've got different colors here, and not all the cards use all these colors, but for this particular card I want to use the Crumb Cake. I want to use the Petal Pink. I want to use my Light Daffodil. I've also got my Seaside Spray Light, and that's it. So those are the 4 colors I'm going to use. I'm going to start. Now these are just like, you can blend with these. That's what makes them wonderful to color with. But these images, I'm not doing a lot of blending on. So I'm just going to open the end. It's got a nice brush end on one side. And I'm just going to add my sand. And I'm also going to color this little girl's hair a little bit with the brown. Now I'm not, you can see that I'm not coloring all of it in. You can color all of it in if you want, make it solid, but sometimes if you don't, it looks a bit more watercolored. I'm going to color the smaller girl with the Light Daffodil. I'm going to color the dresses. I'm just going to color one side of the dress like this, as if the light is just hitting that side of their bodies. But again, if you prefer, you can color the whole thing in. And then I'm going to use the more of the bullet end of this, and I'm going to color in the top of the bucket. And if I let that dry and go back to it, I can actually make that part of the bucket darker just with my one blend. I'm just going to let it dry for a minute, and move on with the rest of my coloring. So now I've got the pink, and I'm just going to lightly color in their skin. And here in their legs. I think that's it for the coloring. And I accidentally put a little pink up here, but that's okay. I'll just shade it in with some more of that blue, covers it up. And then I'm going to go back in and just color the top of my bucket. I just wanted it to be a little bit darker. There we go. Now, these blends will bleed through, and that's good that they're supposed to, because they've got the alcohol in them and they are a blender. So don't worry about that. Just make sure that you've got something to protect your surface. So let me just bring back in my card front, and again, I'm going to add some more dimensionals to the back of this because I want to pop it up. With these dimensionals, it's really easy to give your cards some depth and dimension without adding a lot, which is what I really like about it. So then we're just going to position that on our card. And there we go. We have our finished card. Now, I wanted to show you another card that I made using the exact same pieces, but with a different stamp set. Here you go. Here's the girls on the beach, and here's Dad just relaxing in his chair on the beach. It's another one of the line drawings. It's called A Good Man. So that's card number 1. Here we have card number 2. This is another image from the stamp set. It's the woman here standing in the meadow. So for this one, I've already gone ahead and stamped the image because I've already shown you how to stamp a basic image on a die cut from card number 1. So again, this is from the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and I've just gone ahead and stamped her in the Memento ink. So I'll just set her aside for a sec. In your kit, your envelope mark number 2, you're going to have your card base, which is Whisper White, and you're going to have a cut piece of Seaside Spray, and then you're also going to have a Whisper White piece. So we're going to start by stamping our Whisper White piece. Again, we're using the Memento ink, and this time I've got, oops, I got a smudge, so I'm going to turn it over. This time we've got the little lilacs. It's a separate stamp, sorry. And I'm just going to figure out where I'd like this. So I'm going to put this down because I kind of have it off to the side, which I liked. And then it's just for placement. I think that looks good. So I'm going to just stamp that. And then I'm going to stamp it again. And then I'm just going to kind of eyeball it over here. So now when I put my image on, it's just going to look like the meadow is going across the page. I'm also going to stamp greeting in the top left corner, thinking of you. It's also from the set. And then I can set that aside. Let's color this image in. So this time I'm using both of the daffodil markers, light and dark. I'm using Highland Heather Light. I'm using Seafoam. And I'm using the Petal Pink again. And I think that's, oh, and I'm also using the Seaside Spray. So I am using most of the colors on her. The first thing I wanted to do was make her hair not two different colors, but 2 different hues of the yellow. So on these kind of darker lines, I'm just using my darker marker. And then I'm going to come in with my lighter marker, the same color, although you can use a different color, and just go over top. And that's going to give me a little bit more depth in her hair. So I'll hold that up a little bit higher so you can see. Okay. And just like I did with the other card, the first card we did, I'm just going to then color in the other parts. The heather, I'm not too worried about getting it perfect, so I kind of just dot my blend on top, and if it goes outside the lines, I don't really worry about that for this kind of image. So just add your heather or your lilac, and then again with the lighter, the what's this color? It is Seafoam. I'm just going to do my stems in that lighter color. The grass, there we go. I think that covers that. And then I've got the light seaside spray, and this time I don't want to add too much color, so I'm just going to kind of a little bit like this. There we go. I'll set her aside for a sec, and I'll bring back this piece because I also have to color the lavender or the heather. I'm not sure. I guess this is lavender. Oh, could be heather, I suppose. And then again, finishing the stems. All right. Now we can glue this to the layer, the matte layer of the Seaside spray. Pull that in and line that up like so. And then we're just going to glue this. Now I love this white glue. I know I mentioned it earlier because it really does hold well, and you just want a very thin line of it. You don't want to put a whole bunch of glue on it, but you can move it around a bit in case you don't stick it straight, which I sometimes, well, most times don't stick it straight, so it's very helpful for me. And again, we're going to add some stamped dimensionals to the back of the piece that we've stamped. Now you can see again that the blends have come through, and that's okay because that shows that we've colored and blended correctly. So I'm just going to add her, and there we go. And now we've got card number 2. Card number 3 is a little bit building on the first two. We've got the embossed layer here, and we've got the images from the first card here. So let me just bring in all the pieces that you're going to have received in your kit. We've got our card base, which is Whisper White. We've got our already embossed Seaside spray layer. We have a piece of this absolutely gorgeous metallic ribbon. This is also Seaside spray, and I don't know if you can see, but it's a beautiful color, and it's also got some silver threads running through it, so it's really gorgeous. And then here is our stamped piece. Because I've already shown you how to stamp the pieces, I've just gone ahead and done that. But what I wanted to point out for this card in particular is you want to leave enough space between your saying and your images of the girls to tie your ribbon around. So you don't want them too close. So stamp this one near the top and stamp your other sentiment near the bottom. And then it's just a matter of wrapping this around your piece of ribbon and tying it. So once you've done that, you're going to have a little bit extra here, so you're just going to trim it off. I didn't tie it in a bow, I just tied it in a knot because a bow would have been too big. And then we just have to put this card together. We're going to add some dimensionals to this piece, and again I like to put, if it's a larger piece like this, I like to put one in the middle and remove the backs. Before adhering it too, I always will make sure that I've got my waves going the right way. I'm just going to pop that on. And then we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this piece. go. And then just to finish it off, I'm going to add some rhinestones. This is a great tool that we have. It's called Take Your Pick, and it's got this putty on the one end here. And so I can just pick up these rhinestones, which are, they have adhesive on the back already, and just drop it in place. So again, I'm just going to show you. Pick it up with my putty, like so, and place it on my card. There we go. So we're already through 3 cards, 1 left. Card number 4 has the image of the woman walking with the child here. And let me bring in your pieces. So this is what you would have received in your kit. I have already gone ahead and pre-stamped this just for our demonstration, just to save some time, and I've already showed you how to do that. I already showed you how to put the flowers, the meadow flowers, on either side of your stamped image, so I've gone ahead and done that. So we just have to color. For this particular one, I used the Seaside Spray. I used the 2 colors of Daffodil. I've got my Highland Heather, my Seafoam, my Petal Pink, and my Crumb Cake. So I've used all of them for this card. I'm going to color the woman's hair in the Crumb Cake, and I'm just going to add the sand beneath their feet in Crumb Cake. There are 2 sides to these. You've got a more of a bullet end on one side and a brush end on the other, and it's really up to you which one you prefer. I use both, just depending on the application. If I'm getting into a small space, I tend to like the bullet one because I have a bit more control. And the brush one I like for large sweeps of color, like on the dresses. Make sure that when you put the lid on, you snap them into place. So my girl here, I'm going to start by adding a bit of the darker color. And I'm going to go in with the lighter color just to blend. Okay. And I forgot to add some color to their faces here. Okay. Again, with their dresses, we've got some color. I'm not coloring in the whole thing here. I'm just adding a bit. That's why I'm going to switch to the brush end so you can see. I can get these nice sweeps of color, which I really like so. And then we've got our Seafoam for our stems, and our Highland Heather for our lavender or field flowers. All right, bringing all this back in, we're going to turn this piece over and add the dimensionals. Pop that up in the middle of our card, like so. And then we're just going to add dimensionals to the back of our stamped piece. And then I'm just going to line that up. Now this time we didn't add any color to the ones that we stamped on the seaside. We just left those and focused on the color on the actual focal point here. So let me bring in our cards again. So that's number 4, number 3, number 2, and number 1. So you get quite a variety here, and they're not difficult to make. We hope you enjoy them. You just need a few supplies. If you need anything to complete your cards, if you want to make them exactly like this with the stamp set and the other products that we used, at the very bottom of the PDF, you'll be able to find our contact information. If you live in the United States, contact Patsy. And if you live in Canada, contact me, Allison. Thank you so much for purchasing our Take and Make kit. We hope you have lots of fun. And of course, if you have any questions, please email us. Have a great day and happy stamping.